I'm Faye Watt, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Fort Lauderdale marks World AIDS Day with rent stars and renewed resolve. Crowds gathered on Fort Lauderdale Beach last night, Sunday night, as World AIDS Day brought remembrance, advocacy, and music to the shoreline. Broadway's Rapp and Pascal, who originated Mark and Roger in Rent, headlined the Cannes community health event, drawing LGBTQ audiences and allies together to honor those affected by HIV and AIDS. Kal Gajraj, Dr. Kal Gajraj, Cannes Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer, reminded listeners that, quote, not only are patients affected by HIV, but also allies and the entire community who know someone affected by HIV, end quote. This year's observance came after the Trump administration ended federal recognition of World AIDS Day. Still, Dr. Gajraj urged resilience while attendees reflected on lives lost. And listen, as someone who is obsessed with Rent, I have been obsessed with Rent since I was a kid. It was like a spiritual experience to meet Rapp and Pascal, and for them to be here with all our local artists, opening the doors for them. When they sang No Day But Today, like there was not a dry eye in the house. You know, everybody can remember when they first saw the movie or the musical Rent, what it meant to them. You know, if you haven't seen the musical or the movie Rent, it follows a bunch of 20-something-year-olds, mostly living and trying to get through being infected by HIV, and with the medications being as very elementary as they were back then, you know, and how many people were dying on such a high rate. And, you know, they're bonding together, gay, straight, trans, all together, black, white, you know, just being a chosen family and showing what that looks like when you show up for each other, you know. And that's what I felt yesterday on that stage was that, you know. I know that Kal Gajraj, you know, he's also an anchor here at Queer News Tonight. And, you know, this was his baby. He was like, if I can pull this off, I really want to bring this to South Florida. You know, we've got so many musical geeks in LGBTQ community. So many of us like me, like, you know, I would cut school in Jersey and run to Broadway and see off-Broadway shows or Broadway shows. That was my escape as a kid. That was where I saw my queer self was on a stage. You know, it wasn't on TV or it wasn't in my friendship groups, you know. So to see these Rent stars singing these songs, and then they were also singing songs from when they met. So they were singing David Bowie and they were singing other incredible classics that they also did. And they did an extraordinary job. They were super talented. You know, Alexander Zenos, the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, also opened up for them. And it was just an incredible evening full of love, resilience, and just a reminder that even though that Cheerio-looking guy doesn't want to have us acknowledge today is still today. World AIDS Day is alive, kicking. People are still fighting. People are living and thriving with this disease, and it's still infecting people today.
You know, instead of trying to silence World AIDS Day, he should have had this on the White House lawn. Yeah. That would have gone a long way to bring the community together and the nation together. Instead of dividing the nation, he's the leader to bring the nation together, and that would have been nice. Yeah. I'm sorry I missed the show, but it looked wonderful.
It was amazing.
It did look incredible. But here we are, almost 30 years after the debut of Rent on Broadway, and 40 years since the first World AIDS Day, and there's still no end in sight. I mean, it's just... So by not mentioning it on World AIDS Day...
Yeah.
Doesn't help. It's still going to be here.
It doesn't. I mean, you know, and especially we've done stories from this table about hopefully the eradication of this by 2030, right? And with all this funding and everything that Cheeto Head is doing, I don't see that happening anymore. That 2030 light, right, at the end of the tunnel, I don't see it. I can't remember if it was Australia or it was somewhere who had gone a couple of months without one infection. And that was like extraordinary. And the possibilities that could happen here as well. If we were if we stayed on the same trajectory that we were on.
Right.
But people don't understand it's not just a gay disease or, you know, the gay cancer. You know, it affects everybody in all walks of life. So you're hurting the whole country.
Yeah.
And women. I mean, one of some of the largest infections.
Number one.
Rates are women.
Yeah.
Number one is women, especially black and brown women in Miami. Okay. That is number one in infections in the whole country, folks, you know? So, I mean, it saddens me when I speak to women and they don't know that they could take PrEP, you know? I mean, get educated, go to a local organization and find out for yourself if maybe something that maybe you should be taking, maybe you shouldn't, who knows? But at least get educated on it and see what to do.
Protect yourself.
Protect yourself and know your status for sure. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.